why did you start your YouTube channel? Now, I answered this question in an interview recently, and I wanted to just kind of go into a little bit more detail on why. And the reason being, and the true reason why I started the YouTube channel, was because there was a lot of misinformation, especially on high-end audio gear. And it came about, like, what I found was over COVID times, a lot of channels kind of popped up, and I used to watch all the channels, and I'd watch all these gear reviews on gear that I owned, and they were clearly very much not necessarily paid to do the reviews, but they weren't quite telling the truth on a lot of stuff. And I'd watch it and I'd think, you're lying. And I know they're lying because I own the gear, and I know everything about the piece of equipment that was being reviewed. And I was just like, maybe there's a kind of a gap in the market where I can actually do these reviews on the basis that I've gone out and bought and paid for all this equipment. I'm under no obligation to say what the companies want me to say. I'm not being paid to do the review. I'm a very neutral, and by being neutral and not having been paid to say what I'm saying, I'm able to tell the truth because no one can tell me not to, because it's an honest review. So I found this kind of gap in the market because there's a lot of people who are doing reviews, and they're doing pretty much very honest reviews, but there's a lot of people who are their sales channels, and all that their primary goal is to tell you only the good things about a product in the hope that you click an affiliate link and they make some money out of you buying it through their review. And there's lots of channels like that. And most of the reviews, when I watch all these reviews, most of the reviews are good, and they highlight all the positives. But what they forget to do, and what they clearly don't do, is highlight the negatives about a piece of equipment. So I felt there was an avenue there where I could actually do these kind of honest reviews of gear that I'd bought, paid for, I owned, and I use on a daily basis, and that way I can actually say what is truthful about it. So I was in a slightly different situation from people who were creating content and being either given the gear or being, promoting the gear in exchange for affiliate link clicks and stuff like that. Now, look, I've got affiliate links on a lot of the products that I do, but I don't push people to click them. They're there if you want to click them. You can by all means click them. It doesn't. I'm in a different situation to a lot of other people that do YouTube, because I don't see YouTube as a business. Like, YouTube isn't my business. My bread and butter is in the studio here. I see YouTube as a platform to give exposure to my studio and my business and my brand. That's what I see YouTube as. Like, I've got friends who refuse to do. There's one guy I know. He refused to do videos on, like, review a piece of gear unless he's paid £1,000 to do so. And I'm like, yeah, but he's like, well, Paul, you should charge £1,000 to do a review. I was like, but that's not why I'm doing this. Yeah, but you got to spend all your time creating the reviews and all this sort of stuff. I'm like, yeah, but that don't sit well with me. I don't want to do that. That's not me. That's not why I'm doing this. It was like, oh, well, that's why I'm doing it. It's like, yeah, so I can't now watch your reviews and trust what you're saying if you're only ever going to do a review for £1,000. Like, that to me screams a big red flag of untrustworthy. And then he's saying, like, oh yeah, but all my reviews are, they're honest. It's like, yeah, but you're being paid to say what you're saying. So anyways, that's why I set up the channel. And the other thing was with plugins and stuff, is like people sitting there going, yeah, this plugin, this is a game changer, this plugin. It's not. And I'm like, it annoys me. So I kind of set the channel up to have, to be able to, the primary goal for it was, I have lots of equipment other people don't have access to, and what I'm able to do is I'm able to show them what it does, and then they can make a much more informed choice of whether that's the right piece of equipment for them. Now, I'm in a luxury position where I get to try out and I get to use everything before I go and purchase it. I can get hold of it and I can use it before buying it. There's a lot of people that I speak to, they don't have that luxury. There's guys who I know who are out in Brazil, for instance, and they don't have access to any sort of demo gear. So they're just like, oh, they're basing their sort of what should I buy based on people like myself posting videos and going, yeah, I like the sound of that, and I like what he's saying about it, and I like that piece of gear, so I'm going to go and buy that piece of gear. Whereas myself, I get to actually try the piece of gear and go, right, is that for me? Yes. Or is it for me? No. I get to do that. And there's not, often lots of people, they don't have that ability. Or some people I've spoke to, the only time they get to really demo stuff is if they go to any of these trade shows and they actually sit down with a piece of gear, have a listen to it. But then you're not listening to it in a studio, you're listening to it often over headphones, and it's not the best listening environment, so you don't get to understand exactly what you can do. So the videos that I created with the reviews, the primary focus there was to create this content that people could actually watch and get a really good understanding of what the gear does and how it can be used, and then make a very informed choice whether that's the right gear for them. And yeah, I think I achieved that with the channel. I think you're guaranteed an honest review, because I couldn't care less if a company didn't like the review, or if I said something bad about it. It doesn't matter to me. I bought the gear, I own it, I can say whatever I want. Number two is, I think generally speaking, everybody can get a good gauge of what the gear sounds like and what it can do, based off the review. So I think in general, that's why the channel's been a good success, because honesty rules over everything. And this is why I don't do many of the plugin reviews, because I do think the plugin side of things is a little bit dishonest when it comes to the plugin reviews. Because I watch all the reviews, I watch everyone else's reviews, and if 1 week an EQ is a game changer, the next week another EQ is a game changer, the week after that another EQ is a game changer, and then 4 weeks in a row you've had 4 game changing EQs, they can't all be game changers. And personally, I don't think an EQ ever is a game changer, because it's an EQ at the end of the day. There's nothing game changing about it. So I look at these sorts of reviews and I kind of think, I know what you're doing, I understand what you're doing. Can we all just kind of be a little bit more honest?